and welcome back to We Bombastic Few, Season 5, Episode 3. And we're straight into it. Who do we have here?
Lindsay.
Daniel.
Lindsay. Daniel. All right, moving on. Icebreaker doesn't exist anymore. Today's segments, we got Mini Qualgorithm, a hypothetical, because what's a podcast without a hypothetical? And Segment C, which everyone knows C stands for Would You Do It? Bombastic word. Thalassophobia. That, if you're wondering, means the fear of large bodies of water, such as the ocean.
You said thalassophobia.
Yes,
it is thalassophobia.
That's what I said.
You said
Anyway.
thalassophobia. Don't.
Moving
First,
on.
you skipped the icebreaker, so now I have to sit here, ice unbroken, and now you're mispronouncing our bombastic word and tricking our audience. And
That's what I do.
I don't know if
That's why they call me the
should
trickster.
sit here and stand for this.
They call me the trickster because I've also tricked all of you. Turns out the betting system that I presented to you in 2 episodes ago is called the Martingale betting system, and I have since. If you're ever curious about losing, or if you ever are interested in losing an entire weekend's worth of time, just go down the rabbit hole that is researching betting systems and the Martingale, like the math behind the Martingale betting system. And the long research I did short is that so for example, if your odds are roughly 50%, like I gave the statistic that it was something like 6th time you had a 95% chance of hitting.
6th time of doing
which
what?
is really good.
Quick refresher.
Like betting on the same thing that had so you bet on a 50-50, so we'll say a coin flip. It's not exactly 50-50, but so you bet on a coin flip that it's heads. It's not heads. You bet on it again. It's not heads. And you do that on the 6th time. There's it was like 95% chance that you would have a heads at some point by that time, which is really good odds for making a bet. But the thing is let's say you do it 200 times in total, because you've won and you want to keep going because you want to keep making money. Over the course of those 200 times, I don't remember the exact numbers, but you are all but guaranteed to hit a losing streak of about 10 at some point. And a losing streak of 10 in the betting system means you're losing like thousands of times what your initial bet was. So go at your own risk. Also, I recommended the basket bet, which I did not know at the time, but the basket bet is actually, I think, the worst, if not one of the worst bet you can make in roulette, just because the house odds are the worst on that at something like 6%, as opposed to the house edge being 5.26% on all other roulette bets, which basically just means if you were to bet $100, you would be expected to lose about $5.26 if everything goes to plan, which it never does. But Lindsay, why don't you tell us how now that the disclaimer's out there, what happened on Friday night?
So on Friday night, Brent and his fine self that he is came over and told me, we're trying to figure out what we wanted to do for the evening, and he says, you won't spend $100 on roulette tonight. And me being the person I am, I says, yes, I will. So we ended up at the casino at some point, and we sat down. When we eventually sat down to do roulette, I told him he said, what kind of bet do you want to do? And I told him, I want to do basket. And I was very confident, because one thing that I am teaching Brent is sometimes you have to feel out the game. You don't necessarily need to worry about statistics or numbers. You have to feel it out. And I was feeling basket, and I'd say within a frame of 10 or so games, not at first, but in a frame of 10 or so games, or draws, whatever you call it, it hit 5 or 6 times in a row of the basket, didn't it? Or not in a row, but within that frame.
Well, so initially, you do the bet. You start with $2, and then it's $2.50. Then it's $3, I believe, and then $3.50. It doesn't, and then at some point it like swaps to increase, and then it's like $4, $5, $6, $7.50, etc. And I think the first time you made it to like $6 before it hit, and then it hit, and then you like 2 more bets went by, and then it hit like the third time, and there was a streak where it hit 4 times in a row. Which, like, I didn't run the numbers before this, but let's just say it's very unlikely. And the people to the right of us were not having it.
Yeah, the gentleman sat down. We were already in the middle of the game. Put in a 20, I believe. And, like, back to back, he was, like Brent said, like 4 times in a row.
Lost it within 3 spins.
Yeah, lost it super quickly. And every time that he lost, I was like, we were all like jumping for joy because we were so excited because we just got lucky.
We were cool, calm, and collected. We gave fist bumps all around. Shout out to Aaron. He joined us. But Lindsay was the only one making bets. But the lady two to our right, she had something like $400 in the machine when we started, and she lost it all, put another 100 in, and she was down to 60 when we left. And so
yeah, so more of the story is sometimes numbers may or may not fail you, but feeling at the game may or may not help you.
That was absolutely not a good representation of Martingale for the basket bet, though, because it like
it definitely wasn't.
It was so crazy. And the thing is the basket bet. If you don't know, it's betting on 0, 00, 1, 2, and 3, and it has a 6 times return. But the thing about 0 and 00 is they don't count. You can bet on them specifically, but otherwise they don't count for any other bet. So like there are plenty of bets where you're betting on a certain set of 12 or a set of like 18, or I'm sorry, 16. No, it's 18. Like red or black. There are so many different bets you can make, and 0 nulls all of them. And so when you hit 0, like if you've basket is you want zeros, but no one else in the room wants zeros,
which is
zeros
crazy.
Are bad for almost everyone.
Because when we were when basket hit for when we were betting on it, I feel like majority of the times it was 0, 00. Mm-hmm. And I think
that's the old casino trying to get your money.
Yep.
Not really. I'm not accusing our local casino of stacking
the only lesson I've learned per the title of our last episode is you're a numbers guy, and so you lose money at the casino, but Lindsay is the math guy, and so he makes money at the casino.
Sure. I will say another fun thing I did over the weekend, with fun in air quotes that you can't see because it's a podcast, but I made a betting simulator that you can simulate. You can go through so many sessions and how many rounds of bets you do and how much money you started with and what your initial bet was. And it's very interesting to run. It's turning me off gambling because I've run all these simulations of different bets, and I've implemented it. It can like do the martingale betting system and whatnot. And it's betting's bad, kids. The casino's gonna win. If you want something with low house edge, play Baccarat if you want to not have to really do anything except guess, because Baccarat's very easy to play. Or Craps has very low house edge. Blackjack technically, I think, officially holds the lowest house edge. But that's all. That's the standard gambling segment we're gonna cut off because
we're addicted and we can't get enough of it.
Exactly.
It's more so just numbers. It just so happens that money's attached to it.
Truly. All right. In less gambling-related news, Qualgorithm thing. What was my story? What does BPUOM stand for? Okay. Have you ever noticed if you, like, say you're going through a city, you walk by a bakery, you're like, I want to try out the bakery. I like bakeries. Baked goods. They're good. Usually. And anytime I've gone into a bakery just on a whim, it's either phenomenal or meh. Like, they're never, like, solid. They're just either, like, some of the best baked goods you've ever had, or it's, like, why did I pay for this? Yeah, this is something I would expect to make just trying to make this on the first recipe I found when I looked it up and rushed it.
The only bakery I can think of that I'm not sure I've gone in a bakery just period outside of the event I'm thinking of, but very specifically, the only time I've ever gone to a bakery on a whim, sort of, was in Taiwan with my sister. Shout out to Brianna. And it was the food was phenomenal, but I think that was in part just because it was the first bit of fresh food I had had in so long, because I had been eating just like pre-packaged granola bars the entire week. And so I just got it was basically just a piece of bread, but I was like, this is the best bread I've ever had.
Why
So,
why were you only eating granola bars?
Because I brought food there instead of. Also, fun fact, you want a guaranteed way to be stopped by the airport security is have granola bars in your backpack. I've never had granola bars or on my carry-on. I've never had granola bars in my carry-on and not been stopped.
Really?
And of those times I've been stopped, which is every time I've had granola bars, 50% of the time they go through each individual granola bar and look at the wrapper to see if it's a bomb.
I literally had
Or
granola
drugs.
bars with me last time I flew, and it went without a hitch. Or I'll have fruit snacks or other similarly packaged things just in my
We've
bag.
already established that my luck is when it comes to
Everything.
some things is not phenomenal. So
Yeah.
I feel like on the like less positive side, like this is probably gonna be a really hot take, but I have such a bad luck when it comes to trying like small business food places. I feel like every time I go, I get what sounds the best to me, obviously, and it never hits. It's always like I would say pretty low quality in general, not just to my standards, but in general. And so like, I just like when it comes to like seeing a small town bakery or something like that, or anything like, I have gotten to the point where I care so little to want to try it. But I get the whole like support small business thing. It's just that like I have such bad luck that I'm not gonna go out of my way to get some food that I know I'm not gonna like, type thing.
Yeah. If I see a new bakery and I'm like, yeah, I got some spending money, I'll try it. 'Cause like when you do find the good bakery, it's very, very worth it. Just it's
How
true. A
often do
lot
you
of
go to
times.
bakeries?
How often? I mean, not often. It's just like if I'm walking through a downtown somewhere, which isn't often.
Ones I'm mainly driven to try is like coffee shops. Those are the ones that like, no matter how small it is, I'm pretty down to try. But like food, I feel like it
Liking
hits
bean
so
juice.
little.
See, for me, like, there are not many coffees that I'll notice, at least a quality. I'll notice flavor differences, but I won't notice, like, a quality difference a lot of the times. And so, yeah, like, it's just not that worth it for me to try new coffee places.
Well, on other terms, so I like, I know I was getting ready for a flight back to this area that I reside in, and I looked over and saw someone, or I was actually in the seat for the flight, and I looked.
You got noticed as a We Bombastic Few host.
And I saw someone like learning a language on Duolingo, and I was like, I've heard so many things about it, mainly memes about it, sending weird notifications to your phone, but you know what, I can't let the memes speak for the app. Let me try it out, because part of me is wanted to try to learn Japanese, and I've attempted to teach it to myself and it didn't really work out very well, and so I did it, and that was like 2.5 weeks ago at this point, and I have done it, like been on it nonstop every day, and not necessarily like I can tell when it's just I'm determined to do something. I'm gonna get it done no matter what. But this is like the not that. It's very much I want to do it. So for some reason, Duolingo has this really strange balance of like it's not necessarily best for them because they make it competitive. They like send me a notification of like, oh, make sure you hit today's streak, or it says, oh, hey, you're not progressing to the next stage unless you make so much more XP or whatever before the end of the week or something like that. Strange things. However, like, that's cool. That's bringing me attention, getting my attention to the app. And I think that's good. Like, I'm enjoying it. I'm retaining it. And I'm really, like, any classroom setting of me trying to learn language did not go well before. Just retention of memory. I don't think it was well delivered for my learning style. But this one, like, I actually did advise that you don't do the payment for it, because the payment's like, oh, if you make mistakes in the lessons, you lose a life. You have 5 lives. If you lose 5 lives or you drain all your lives, you can't do any more. But I feel like that's helping me because I'm cautious of the lives. So I feel like it's interesting that, 1, I'm able to be drawn to the app, but 2, I'm like motivated not to pay for it. Is that strange?
I just want to comment. He asked me beforehand, should he leave the name of the app out? And I was like, why? And he said because he didn't want to give free advertisement. And I said, don't worry about it. Just say the name because it'd be inconvenient. But hot dang, that was the that's the best possible ad they could have received, and they got it for free.
Thank you. I was not paid for, by the way.
Duolingo,
hit me up.
We are not sponsored by Duolingo, but we absolutely deserve compensation after that phenomenal ad read.
Look me up. It's Lindsay, We Bombastic Few. You'll find all the information online because I'm sure someone's found it. And
I'm sure all of our devoted fans are leaking our personal information on the internet.
That's why my official name is Lindsay, We Bombastic Few.
In order to take Duolingo down a peg because they didn't pay us, I used it on my computer like 2 weeks ago, also for Japanese, and I was really upset because I don't know what the issue was, but it started out learning characters, right? Because Japanese has a lot of characters that are not the same.
It's like
as
2
English.
or 3 alphabets.
And so they were having me do the different symbols, and then all of a sudden they're just like, Ohio. What does this word mean? And I was like, you didn't teach me this word, so how would I know what it meant? I did know what it meant because I watch a lot of Japanese cartoons.
Animes.
But that is the proper term is Japanese cartoons if you're not a weeb. So anyway, so I know, fun fact, your extra bombastic foreign word of the day is Ohio, which means good morning in Japanese. But anyway, I was really upset because there was literally about 10 to 15 words that it just threw at me, and it didn't tell me what they were initially. And like Lindsay said, if you get something wrong, you lose a life, and if you lose so many lives, you're not allowed to continue learning. And so I was getting really annoyed because I was like, teach me these words before you quiz me on them.
Well, they deliver that, but if you click the Japanese word, it tells you what the definition is.
I did not see such a hyperlink, so I do.
It wasn't a hyperlink. It's just like you hover over it and it works.
Well, yeah, but it was not a different. It had no indicator that was the case.
Hey,
So
Brad, I'd
you
appreciate
heard
it if you
first.
stop misrepresenting our future sponsor here. I haven't had any problems with Duolingo. When I have
You got
used
the
it,
ad
I've
break
never,
early this time.
I've never been consistent with using it. I think the longest I've gone is like a week and a half. But
What language?
it's good. From what I've used of it, it's pretty solid.
What language were you trying to learn?
There's been a couple, I think.
Don't be ashamed if it's Japanese too.
Well, I'm trying to
Don't be
think.
ashamed.
Japanese is one of them. I think I've also tried Spanish and Italian.
Interesting.
But you took Spanish 1 and 2 in high school.
No, I did not. I took Latin.
Oh, you took Latin.
Because that's where
knew
we
that.
learned Triangle Sweeper, which I still currently hold the lead for 2 minutes and 32 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, honestly, like straight up, you can just have that one because
I'm going to get it below 2
Duh.
minutes. One of these
And
days, I'm just going to
good
grind it
for
out
you.
all day until I get it below 2 minutes.
See, I am a living organism and not a computer, and so my brain cannot register.
The fact that you
images
can mouse over words
faster.
to find out their definition. Your brain can't register that.
does not register. Not some sort of CPU.
Uh-huh. Well, Lindsay, you got our
The
bombastic
bombastic
quote today?
quote of the day is, knowing that nothing will beat seeing the Great Plateau for the first time is the prime reason for not trying drugs.
Wow.
And with that, because what's a podcast without it, we have the hypothetical. So, you know what it's like. You're stuck doing the same thing every day. You're stuck in this entrapment of capitalism. And you want to be more of an individual and be able to work for yourself. So, I have no idea where I'm going with this. As I never
Me neither.
do. But
we're all on this ride together.
but I'm trying to make connections to the movie. But to feel this rush of individualism, if that's the correct term, individuality, whatever.
Isn't it into chickenality?
Yes. The Department of Transportation globally decides that you got those vehicles, those are out of date, those are no longer up to code, we're throwing them out. So instead, they come out with these wide variety of machines that require power from the humans or work from the humans to get up and moving. So now, if you're physically able to be able to continue going where you need to go, you have to put in your amount of work. So it's more or less riding a bicycle, but if you want to do a bigger means of transportation, you're going to, like, say pedaling. If pedaling is what you got to do, if you got the feet to pedal, you're going to be pedaling on this device. So you cannot get away from the elliptical. How would this change the world?
I think we already have evidence of this, and that is the Flintstones. And that was the hypothetical, folks. So, no. But yeah, the Flintstones car is what I posit.
Kind of, yeah. It's similar
But how
idea
that-
there, yeah.
How
As
does
a
it affect the
confirming
world?
thing. Number one, you know what my thing about the Flintstones car? What I always thought, I was like, one of these days someone's gonna get their foot ran over. Like, someone in the back seat they left they're going too fast, they put their leg on the floor too long, and it's gonna get crushed by it's literally a steamroller, because the wheels they have are just large stone cylinders. And so I was like, someone is gonna get crushed by one of these vehicles one day. And that was always a genuine concern of mine when I was watching it as a kid. I was like, when is the episode that someone gets crushed gonna happen? Hope it's not this one.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I think a lot of people could stand to be crushed.
My big thing is that cars probably just won't exist anymore, because between the amount of people you can fit in a car, I don't think you can produce the mechanical energy required to run an engine. You can't get enough horsepower.
Yeah. You gotta get a lot of gears.
So like, it's more efficient just to ride bikes if you're moving a lot less weight.
Well, it might not even be you might not be trying to get a motor running. You might just be propelling the car at that point, and it might be a lot lighter because it doesn't have an engine. But the reason why a car might still be useful is the amount of items you're carrying with you.
That's a good question. So, like, I've got a car, right? But the combustion engine doesn't work. But can I be, like, pedaling that is powering a generator or something?
Yes, you could.
Like, does it have to be? What, I guess, what's the restriction? It can't have. So I assume it can't have a battery, and it can't use internal combustion, and.
I mean,
like,
if we're gonna get scientific with it,
or like solar panel.
It just simply it requires some.
Well, it's clarifying.
Well, yeah, it just I am not the Department of Transportation globally, so
I
can't
bone to pick with the
I can't
Department of
speak
Transportation,
for
by the way.
their ideas. That, I mean, who am I to undermine and talk poorly of? But
did they get like voted in or something? Because it kind of feels like a dictatorship by the Department of Transportation global.
I mean, it does seem like that, but I assure you that
Who gave them this
DOTG
power?
the Doug has went through due process to or fair process to elect the proper people, because United States chose someone, Japan
I say
chose
we
someone.
overthrow them.
What do you think?
I say we take them down.
What is the punishment for using a conventional vehicle? Like, what if you're caught driving a Nissan, or just a Dodge truck? I don't know.
Defenestration. Thrown out the window.
Which window?
Yes. You're thrown out of every window in
No,
existence.
the punishment
One
is
at a
that
time.
you will be like a conductor, someone of a transportation that you would have to be pedaling all day long for a extended amount of time.
They give you thalassophobia by putting you in the ocean without a boat, because boats don't exist with engines anymore. Paddle boats.
They
Oh
put
my
you in the
goodness,
middle
paddle
of
boats?
an ocean
Very,
with a paddle boat.
Very popular. Yeah. How do you think a transatlantic cruise would be on a paddle boat?
Well, I mean, I feel like you have multiple ways of getting through. First of all, giant oars like on Viking boats are going to be a lot
Let's
more
start
popular.
listing
And then
off
you also have people
vehicles.
paddling. Like, you have games for people to play that incur some kind of mechanical motion, which then gets transferred into the boat's engine and helps the propellers to move as well. So you get kind of a little extra motion that way.
Still iffy on how the whole no batteries or whatever. But let's go through and think
We're
of
not sure about the
modes
specifics.
of transportation.
It just requires-
that don't use any engine or battery.
I don't think we
or
need to do
motor.
that. It's
Yeah.
just why can't you just accept that
Well,
that-
that's idea generation.
So wait, what
all
about
modes
sailboats?
of transportation just take a little extra manpower? That's all it means.
So how would
I just
a
don't
sailboat
understand.
work, Lindsay?
Has all of our hypotheticals made sense, Brent? No. So why would this one need to make sense?
You're
Just accept
you're
it.
getting caught in the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, no, but like I'm still trying to understand even the concept of it.
You have to put in.
The car still works as long as it has like you pedaling in it all the time. That's as simple
Okay,
as that.
but like technically, so why does it have to be pedaling? Because even
doesn't
me
have to
moving
be.
the
Alright.
steering wheel is technically energy I'm exerting in the
it
vehicle.
doesn't have to be.
So is me moving the steering wheel
No.
enough energy exerted?
No.
What is?
You just can't turn
Is it,
without.
what is it measured?
That's
in?
what is required for you to turn. Yes.
You have to put in the
But,
same
like,
amount of effort
what
you
if I'm
would to drive a
rolling down
bike.
the window in the old car, like the older models that have a physical crank. Would that be enough energy?
If you can do it while you're like inside the vehicle and the entire time, yeah.
I can roll a window the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. So you understand the thing now. You have to do some kind of thing to help the mode of transportation actually move. Just accept it.
Feels like we don't need to repurpose stuff then. We just need to find cranks or just attach cranks to things.
Well, I mean, they have to be Department of Transportation globally approved.
What is there a list somewhere that I could find online of what those are?
They have to supply it though.
Oh my goodness, and probably with lead time. Honestly, okay. The hypothetical, currently working at job, having many problems with lead times. Lead times just got infinitely worse. The supply chain shortages and just crisis is now, it's solved in that there's no longer a supply chain. It just doesn't exist anymore.
There'll always be some kind of supply chain.
Yeah, the supply chain is one guy on a paddle boat.
Well,
taking
even if you
that
get
guy-
it from down the
months at a
street,
time.
it's still a supply chain.
That guy's a hero, dude. That's how sports is gonna
Honestly.
change. We're not watching football anymore. There's just a giant camera following around this guy on a paddle boat with commercial goods.
Yeah, things that
Yeah,
bring us a
it's,
good
it's
point.
a commercial cargo cruiser that he's pulling with the paddle boat.
That brings up a very good point. Since traveling now is a big physically taxing event, like if you're traveling for a sports team, like you're not getting nearly as much rest time because you're having to put in forth work just to get from one game to the next.
Dude, I just think traveling becomes the televised sports. Like, dude, imagine street races. Not that we condone those or endorse that or anything here on the We Bombastic Few podcast, but imagine, like, people are racing on the highway. You know, that just got even crazier because you're having to paddle like a madman.
Yeah.
Pedal. Not paddle.
Street race paddle. So
that is a sport I can get behind.
So let's say I've got my car and I've got a paddle that like hooks in. Let's say it hooks into the car. So there's like an O-ring that the paddle is going through, and so I'm paddling. Is the paddling enough to move my car?
I've got a contact for the Department of Transportation globally. It's 1-800. If you go ahead and call that number, you can ask any questions you need that you may have. And he or she could answer any of them.
Yeah.
All right. I'm starting a coup. Is anyone interested in joining?
No, I'm more interested in Blockbuster, hitting that up, seeing what that's about. It came back somehow. Lindsay, you want to tell us about that?
I refuse to play into this joke anymore.
Well, you know, the one thing about the internet is technically data is a vehicle. And so you can't have a bunch of people doing physical work to get the data from one end of the wire to the other, right? So what do? You use magnetic tape on in a square rectangle.
A square rectangle, yeah.
I know what VHS is. And where are you going to get that square rectangle magnetic tape device? Blockbuster.
Now just selling empty VHSs so you can power your internet at home.
Yep. Exactly.
Dude, fiber, like gigabit internet, like someone just has... Dude, those servers from the 60s that used to just be like antiques and collector items, now, like, if you have one of those, you have the best internet on the block.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Magnetic tape. It's the future.
Yeah.
Or it never left, according to Today I Learned from last episode, which you should listen to.
So, this is just for modes of transportation, right?
Yes, human transportation.
Vehicles, yeah.
Ooh, so dogs and other pets and animals can bypass this?
Yes.
So if a dog gets in a car, they can drive it normally.
No, because it still requires manpower.
No, because then they'll be put on a paddle boat in the middle of the ocean, and they won't know how to use it.
Seems specious, but whatever.
All right, but theoretically, if I brought a bunch of hamsters along on a car trip, on a road trip, could I just have them spin around in wheels, like on an axle, and it's spinning the axle doing stuff for me? Does that count towards my my power
I mean, if
output?
you can rig it up.
There's a 1-800, Daniel.
If-
Why don't you
1-800.
call
I
it?
mean,
1-800.
if you can rig it up, I ain't gonna stop you. But if you get pulled over by the Department of Transportation globally, they might have some concerns and things to say. But
I mean, there are 7+ billion people on Earth, right? Like, how many people are on this silly committee?
I mean, there's
that
a whole
I'm
new
currently attempting to
enforcement
overthrow?
team, like division. Didn't hear about that in the memo?
No. How many people are there? Like, what's per capita, or like how many
3.6 billion
normal
of the people of the Earth are part of this enforcement team.
This is ridiculous. My coup is screwed.
It could be you. You don't know.
Yeah, you may be
People don't
enforcing it.
They're sleeper agents, Manchurian Candidate style.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had it imprinted in you, whether you wanted it or not. Dang. I think we should just give up. The Department of Transportation Global runs everything.
They're a higher
you
power.
have a problem
You
with
couldn't
that?
succeed a coup anyway.
I can't decide if .ga or Gadot is a better one. Is a
I
better,
didn't make
like,
up the
acronym
things.
for them.
So.
Yeah, you lost me. Dotga and Gadot?
Dotga
Like
is the
GDOT or DOTG.
Department of Transportation globally.
Oh.
Yeah, but Brent's trying to change the name of a entity that we did not create.
What if for like April Fools, the U.S. government announced that like FBI is now the IBF, and the CIA is now the AIC?
Isn't
And
IBF?
it's
Oh
just-
wait, no. I was gonna say, isn't IBF something? I was thinking of IBS. So never mind.
I guarantee you it stands for something, because there's like if you Google any series of 3 letters, you are almost guaranteed to come up with something.
Give me 3 letters. Lindsay, give me a letter.
I was gonna say I can totally game the system
Q.
this way.
Q. Brent, give me a letter.
He said Q.
Yep, and I already put my letter in.
I want E.
All right, my letter was O. Quality of experience.
Well, there you go.
Bam.
Easy.
Oh my goodness, that's a theorem that I just came up with that I'm patenting.
Wow,
Or-
you're gonna come rich off of this.
What do you do with theories?
Theories? You named them after yourself.
Aha, Brent's theory. Brent's theory is that any series of 3 letters in equals an organization or something.
Or something. You know, that's a
Or something.
that's a well thought
Yep.
out theorem.
It's like
I'm
this.
getting my PhD off that bad boy.
This comic I saw. It was like whenever a topic comes up of like something I know a lot about, but I'm self-conscious about knowing a lot about it, I'll like say or whatever at the end of ranting about it. And it's just them looking at the Chicago skyline. Someone's like, yeah, you know, in like the 90s, the Sears Tower used to be the tallest tower in the world. And then he goes, well, you know, technically it's the tallest building in the world because this thing was technically, you know, a whatever telephone pole, and this thing was technically suspended by guy cables or whatever. And I thought it was okay, but you reminded me of
Pop
it.
quiz. Tallest building in the world.
It's
right now.
it's that one in the Middle East, Qatar.
Which is known as?
Is it Qatar? I don't remember the name of the city.
Starts with a B.
The big tower.
No idea.
Dang. I mean, Daniel got it. I think the locals call it the Burj Khalifa, but like it translates to big tower.
Yeah, of course. We know that because of Duolingo. Naturally.
You're calling it Duolingo, and I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced, but I've always heard it Duolingo.
There's an O.
I'm aware.
Duolingo.
Duolingo. Now that's an app.
We should start our own app called Duolingo.
I'm gonna try and bash Duolingo the entire episode.
All right.
in order to
Well,
take
before
that.
we continue to talk about products we could make, let's talk about the products that are sponsoring us. So, are you guys tired of how much time doing laundry and cleaning dishes takes out of your day? Well, throw your dishes away and be prepared to cut your chores time in half with the eating gloves. With this revolutionary new technology, you can cook and eat using these gloves, and you won't have dishes to do. You just throw it in with your laundry. And they've been asked before, well, how do you cook without cooking utensils? Easy. You use the cooking glove with cloth bowl attachments if you need to cook soup, or you can just cook any kind of food directly in your palm, and the heat resistance transfers it around. There's heat resistance between your hand and the conductive layer on the outside. Conductive layer cooks all the food on the outside of it. You just throw it in the laundry, bam, it's clean, reusable, and your chores just got that much easier. And now the new line of products as well has cloth baking and stovetop cookware, so that you don't have to have your hand there the whole time, and you can now work with multiple dishes at once. How have you guys been liking your eating gloves?
My
I think
top
my favorite.
my top concerns with them when I was hesitant when I went to try them and had them shipped to me. And the first one was liquids, and the other ones were any kind of food scraps, and if they were going to destroy my laundry machine, just throwing them straight in there like Daniel and the company said I could. But really, there was no problems. Soups, easy as can be. They stay right there inside the cloth material, and you can just slurp it right out. And then there may be a funny smell, but those gloves do come out perfectly clean once you throw them in.
I'll just say, I think it's hilarious when people tell me, "Ooh, that's a finger food." All my food's finger food now.
Get schooled, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the main concern when I was telling people we got this sponsor. Is they said, well, like, what do you eat with? Like, what if you need a fork? I'm like, I've got nature's fork. My 3 fingers on my right hand.
This is what evolution has given us. I will use them.
All right, hold on. All right, pause the ad break. You have 3-pronged forks too? Lindsay has 3-pronged forks, and they're the weirdest thing.
Well, I don't use my pinky as my fork because it's a different distance than the others.
Yeah.
The
So,
ad break.
we can continue the break because this is somewhat comical.
Wait,
I don't know.
all of your forks are 3-pronged? Like, I've seen 3-pronged forks, but I feel like it's most common to have 4 prongs.
Kristen, my girlfriend, when I met her, had a variety of 3-pronged forks, and they're strange, especially when you try to eat macaroni and cheese, and they're too wide a distance in between the prongs to pick it up. When I happen to try to pick it up that way rather than stabbing it, and it just falls right down.
Wait,
Saddest thing.
How much space is there between the prongs? It sounds more like mini
A
pitchforks.
solid inch.
Yeah. No, it's noticeable for sure, but
They make me realize I want a 5-prong fork. Like,
why
why'd we
stop
at
there?
4?
Why stop at
Because
5?
I
because
want
5 is a nice even number.
I want a pair of brass knuckles, but it's just 30 or 40 prongs, and I just hit my plate with my knuckles, and then I can eat off that. And then I don't have to dip down for a second scoop. I can just eat 1 scoop off my pinky, and then another scoop off near my ring finger.
I feel like that's a
Wait a
company
minute,
that
wait a
could
minute.
have sponsored us if you hadn't brought it up just now.
I could say another thing, but should I hold it? I guess I should hold it.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say
They're not paying us.
So
So
I was saying, what if there were forks that weren't just on the same row, they're another dimension of
double-decker forks
something like that, where it's
or 4-dimensional.
you could get so much more food and much more efficiently pick up food that way.
Dude,
What if it
you
was
know
a
what would be
cage?
awesome is if
Like a
you had a
lobster
fork
cage?
with a little motor on it that spun the fork head for scooping up pasta. So you just put in the pasta, hit the
That
button,
definitely
and it
That exists.
spins around. I bet it does, but does it?
No,
It's
it
it's like the
does.
Beyblade thing.
You just throw your fork onto your plate.
You just ratchet the thing back, and it spins the noodles for you.
I'm more interested in my lobster cage fork. Or it's not a fork at this point, but just cage on a stick to eat with.
Yeah.
For macaroni. You'd scoop it up into the cage, and then it would shut, and then you'd hover it over your mouth, and then you'd release the cage, and it would just all fall in your mouth.
There are some pastas that are kind of hard to get with. Have you guys ever had a bow tie pasta?
Mm-hmm.
Farfalle pasta? I don't think I pronounced that right, but
Wait, is that the one? No, bow tie isn't that hard. I'm thinking of
Shells.
I don't know.
bow
There
tie
are
is the
pastas that are hard to
easiest
get with a
possible
fork.
pasta to eat with a fork.
Yeah. So.
So do we need to
cage
reinvent
fork.
the pasta utensil? Is that what we were saying?
We need to
Like,
reinvent
make a
the
separate
pasta.
one?
Honestly,
We need to make a new pasta that can be utilized for any utensil,
All right, hear me out. The pasta is fork shaped.
and the forks are pasta shaped. I got a giant macaroni noodle, and I'm trying to scoop my forks up. Dude, that'd be awesome. It's just a giant curved
peaked in my
straw.
mind. We should stop it now.
Dude, imagine a macaroni noodle though. It's just a giant straw, and you just put your mouth around it, and
And you slurp up the fork pasta.
yeah, wow. We need to get on that, honestly.
Patent, copyright, little. Yeah, it's ours. What does segment C stand for?
C. Wait. What did segment C stand for? Would you do it? So I've got willyoupressthebutton.com pulled up, and we're just gonna run through a few of them, talk about it, figure out would we do it. Wait, sorry, the way I thought about that made me think of a bit from BoJack Horseman. Sorry. But anyways, all right. Do you want to hear both, or should I just tell you the first thing and you agree or disagree to it before you hear the second thing?
Explain. I don't know if you explained what Will You Press the Button is as a website.
So will you press the button is so it gives you a positive thing. So, for instance, this one is, you are a superhuman immune to disease and regrow limbs, but then it gives you a negative caveat. And so for this one, it's, but you're the most disgusting looking thing on the face of the earth.
And you have to decide if you take both of those or don't take both of those. I think just give us both. It's hard. It's hard to say no. I don't want this positive, not knowing what the.
Well, I think there's comedic value in being like, oh, I'm screwed over.
All right. Well, how about this one? You have the ability to breathe underwater. Agree to it or not?
It's more of a gambling thing at this point, Brent. You gotta think about gambling.
I'm not that. So I don't suffer from thalassophobia is the thing, and so I just have no desire per se to breathe underwater because there are apparatuses that have been made that allow for that, such as the scuba gear, also known as a self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Lindsay?
I'm going to gamble and say no, I will not press the button.
All right.
That's not a game.
So you have the ability to breathe underwater, but it's only salt water. You can't swim super fast. I don't know why they added this one, and you can't talk to any of the wildlife that live in the water.
Gosh darn it. Can you imagine if I had pressed that and I couldn't talk to the wildlife underwater
You
anymore?
couldn't be Aquaman? Why would you want to do it?
That would have been terrible.
And
honestly, that's very tame in terms of consequences.
For me, I would have pressed it if I could swim at normal speed underwater, because, that'd be cool.
Is it all water or just salt water?
Just salt water, which is still awesome.
that you can't swim at full speed.
I imagine just in salt water. That seemed like...
Yeah. So, I don't know. I can't talk to the shark. That is a good point. I can't talk to the shark or swim away from it. So,
yeah.
There are problems.
Let me find a good one. What does this one even mean? I'm trying to figure out if this is money or coffee. All right. Unlimited bucks. Or is it money? Is it
I've heard
for
jokes
Starbucks
regarding this
deer?
wording.
I think it's referring to deer.
I'm going to say I will press the button.
I'll press it for unlimited deer.
It's also a little confusing because the caveat says, and I quote, "You can't any relationship with girls," which gets the point across, to be fair.
You can't any?
You can't any relationship with girls.
Fill in the blank.
But you get unlimited bucks. and both words are capitalized.
Right.
I'll press the button. Unlimited bucks? Dude, imagine what I could do with an army of deer.
A lot of things.
With unlimited deers, you can get unlimited money.
All right. You have the ability to create a best-selling game all by yourself.
Already done. It's called Kangaroos vs. Platypuses. You can download it on itch.io.
Wait, what? Say it again. Say it again, Daniel.
You have the ability to create a best-selling game all by yourself.
Already exists. It's on itch.io.
It is not. It is acceptable. Sure, why not?
But
no, I'm not interested because I can already make it.
But you can only type 30 words per minute.
I thought my typing speed was a lot faster than it actually is. It's not 30, but
I mean, I feel like
I can
type.
It was sub 60, I think, which was surprising to me.
if I know what I'm gonna type, I feel like I can type pretty fast. Not relatively fast, but
that's not how typing tests are taken, though. It's always random.
yeah. Well,
I'll have to take a test. I've been meaning to take a typing test for a few years now.
If I'm
A few
writing a
months.
paper and I know what I'm gonna type, and I'm just staring at my keyboard, then I can type decently fast. If I'm having to read off, a typing test, then I'm gonna type slower because I can't stare at my keyboard.
I think if you have to look at your keyboard, you're instantaneously barred from taking typing tests.
I don't have to. I'm just a lot faster if I can.
Which is so weird, because why?
What do you mean? Don't you
Because
think you
not
would
all
type
of us have
faster?
like fantastic memory like you do, Brent.
No, it's just like you should have learned typing in 6th grade.
I
because you're
did.
No,
I did
I
learn
did.
typing when I
Wow.
was really young. However, my memory fails me at times, so I look down to make sure.
I don't accept that just because of how long you've typed.
I mean, if I'm just like typing a website in or something, I don't look at my keyboard. But if I'm typing a paper, I'm just furiously tapping away at my keyboard as fast as I can.
Also,
if I weren't looking, it'd be
use-
much easier to make a mistake.
You don't use like standard hands on like your index fingers are on F and J and then
I mean,
spread out
I
from there,
sometimes,
right?
sometimes I do,
use, like,
sometimes I
single
don't.
fingers?
One thing I am trying to improve on is using the proper shift at all times. I feel like I
Can't
always
imagine using anything but the left shift.
exactly. But like I'm trying, like I know it's like for speed, but like
I don't know if it is faster. Like I bet there are numbers that say so, but like seems
I mean, I in theory, I guess right shift could be faster because you're not really using your pinky for any of the letters except maybe P. Whereas on the left hand, you're probably using your left pinky for A.
well. But the thing is my my ring finger instantaneously moves to A if I need to
Yeah,
type A.
and it's the same idea.
Um,
I mean, that's why I use left shift as well.
Can you imagine
'cause-
using right control?
no, I cannot.
Like
Or right alt even. Like I couldn't
I don't need to use alt very often.
imagine using right backspace.
That'd be pretty sad.
If you mean the delete button, sometimes.
I didn't know what the delete key did for a really long time.
Me neither. I just
Insert
assumed it
keys
was like,
still does mostly nothing.
I always assumed delete was the same as backspace, and then I realized it was not.
All right, we're gonna do a quick pop quiz on key command. Do you know what control backspace does?
No.
Is it the whole
It-
paragraph or something?
It deletes an entire word.
Ah.
And then if you do, you can do control shift like home or end, and it will highlight an entire line. Like home would be the entire line to the left. Or no, I'm sorry, it's just shift home to highlight an entire line to the left of where your cursor is. Shift end will highlight an entire line to the right of it. Control shift home would highlight the entire document before your cursor. Control shift end would highlight the entire document after your cursor. And that's your weekly keyboard tips with Brent.
Yeah, but that stuff isn't important. The ones you need to know
It
are
absolutely is. Are you kidding me?
Control
Do you
Shift
know
Escape to pull up Task Manager, and Windows L
But-
to instantly lock
I know-
your computer.
How often do you use Task Manager within Google Chrome, though?
Within
What?
Google Chrome?
You don't use it within.
Like-
It's a standalone app. You don't use it within anything.
It's part of the
Well, no, but
operating
you can-
system.
Okay, but there is. I'm aware of that. But there's a Task Manager within Google Chrome.
That's what I was asking.
that's cap.
Yeah.
I thought it was Control Shift Escape.
Control Shift Escape is Windows Task Manager. What would?
I think that's a. Hold on.
Well, I don't use Chrome, so I don't know. But it's always just on Windows Task Manager for me.
That's
and
that system main. That
one,
system main's what
Shift
you guys shut
Escape.
down all the time.
One,
Shift
I wouldn't know
Escape
when.
is Task Manager on Google Chrome.
What is it?
Shift Escape.
What does the Chrome Task Manager do? Like, I can't even think
You
of.
can kill tabs.
But it's already on my screen. Unless, I guess, you could take the tabs off your screen. But
I feel like I only have the tabs I'm gonna be using in the
I know
very near
that's
future.
why I was like, I don't think it's very useful, but that's why I was confused when you were talking about Task Manager, and since we were talking about specifically browser stuff,
I mean,
is why I thought you were talking about the Google Chrome.
no, I just thought you were talking about keyboard shortcuts in general.
We're gonna talk keyboard shortcuts. I could do all right. Next segment I have, which actually is next week. Maybe next week. Tune in if you want keyboard shortcuts. If that doesn't interest you, tune in anyway because we won't do it. That was a lie.
Wow.
Which part was a lie?
One of them
Exactly.
was.
Yeah.
One of the parts was a lie. So we do have that guarantee.
You won't find out until
for
next
us.
week.
Tune in next
All
week
right,
to
one
find
more-
out in which way Brent lied to you.
Exactly. But and before we move on to next week, if you're already in next week and you're listening to podcasts late, give us one more. Will you press the button?
All right. Hold on. I'm going to open this in a new tab. I'll just do it. Every page on the YouTube website will take 20 seconds to load.
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
I feel
But
like. Go ahead.
once the page is loaded, the video buffers immediately. This only applies to you.
I feel like YouTube loads very fast for me, so why would I potentially
Yeah.
increase
Yeah,
it to
that-
20 seconds?
That's why I wanted to skip that one.
That might be an
wasn't very
aged
good.
aged one. Just do
Yeah,
one
wait,
more. One more.
Is
Since
there a way-
I bought my own internet,
All right.
it is not.
Oldest comment I can find on this one is 7 years ago. So, yeah. And all the recent ones are like, there's no upside on this one.
Yeah. Buffering sucks.
All right.
That was a bad one. There's one
You
more.
become a virtuoso at your favorite musical instrument.
What is my favorite musical instrument?
Yes. I will press the button.
Uh,
But I can only play it when no one's listening.
Oh, yeah. Brett, do you have a
That's a
guess
good
on
guess.
the negative?
I would have
can't hear it.
Mine would be either saxophone or piano.
I think it would be piano, or
Violin's
maybe
pretty
I'd be
good
really
too.
basic and say
Yeah.
guitar.
I think I would do flute. I would say flute, violin, or didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo would be
I want
inacceptable.
my guess is what the bad side is you can't hear it. Beethoven.
No. The downside is you'll never become famous during your own lifetime. Your talents will only be
Oh.
appreciated after you die. Wait, I think we've
Totally
had this
okay.
one before.
Totally okay with that. No, I think we've had that negative, but I don't know if we've had that positive. I would totally be okay with that. No problems with that.
Yeah. Dude, just the fact that I'd be able to circular breathe masterfully with a didgeridoo,
Yeah.
I think circular breathing is the coolest thing. You're breathing in and out at the same time. I spend half as much time breathing as you.
Huh. I don't know about that. If you, honestly, it feels like you spend more time breathing than me if you're doubling down, all the time.
My lungs are more
now you have
powerful than
me.
yours 'cause I
Well,
can breathe
now
more
I'm imagining
constantly
like
both ways.
one lung is expanding and one lung is contracting, like at all times.
Like
It
I'm
just
filling one
cycles.
lung up while the other one compresses. So just like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see
yeah.
the right side of my chest get bigger and the left side's like caving in
you
on
can
itself.
independently operate your lungs. That'd be interesting.
That's a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, imagine like you're a superhero and you have that ability, and like you're in a fight and someone collapses one of your lungs. Easy, you just stop using it and you use your other one only. Bam.
That situation has killed so many heroes before.
Exactly. That's why I think it's useful. I think
It's
it's a
like-
good superpower.
Lung man, they threw gas in this area, poison gas. He's like, don't worry, I'll only breathe out of my left lung, so it'll get all the gas, and then once we get safe, where I would normally die, I'll start breathing out of my right lung.
Think of all the supervillains who have like put them in that situation, and then they give them a like a gas mask, but it only covers one of their nostrils. Because as we all know, one
they have to
nostril goes to
decide
one
which
lung and
lung
one
they have to
nostril
save.
goes to the other.
Uh-huh. I'm reading All Quiet on the Western Front right now. Self-proclaimed best war novel of all time. Very humbling book.
Wait, what was it called?
And, All is Quiet on the Western Front. I don't think there's an is, but it's just on the German side during World War One, and the gas mask parts are. Oh.
All right.
I would not have made it far in World War One.
I'll have to look into that book.
One of the things you said, it's very humbling. That's a phrase I've never understood. What does that mean? Like, I went and worked with starving children in this third world country for 2 weeks. It was so humbling. But what humbled you? What made you like? What? I don't understand.
I guess so. The implication of the phrase, right, is it made you realize how good you had it. Type.
I don't think I'm ever humbled in that way with a broadening perspective. With me being greater, I think it's more so like when times are getting tough, that's when I'm feeling humbled. Like, it's humbling me knowing that, like, oh, I see people. Let's say when I'm practicing for soccer, when I was doing soccer in high school, and there were people that could go run the sprints for much longer than I could. It's humbling to see. Okay, there are people that are much more like capable, much more like willing to do than I am. I've got more to grow. That's where I say I'm humbled.
Yeah, like, I feel like humbling is like when someone really like outdoes you in something.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
it could also be used just like, oh, my life sucks. And it's like, oh, you outdid me in your life sucking way more than mine did.
Your pettiness for your self-pity gets humbled, I guess.
Wow,
Basically,
I
yeah.
aspire to have a life this sucky someday. I'm so humbled. I have new heights to achieve, or lows, rather. That's how I pictured that take on it. But anyways, in conclusion, the end of the episode is here. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, all the other stuff if you want to. If not, please do. We'd appreciate it, because it helps us, in theory. I don't know. I feel like you have to, like, grow a certain point before those things are actually, like, noticeably helpful. But we do see some numbers, and we are excited to see them go up, because dopamine in brain go burr. So definitely boost those numbers for us. Any follows? Final thoughts?
I'm going to follow. I used thalassophobia correctly like 3 times.
I think you used last week's too, Brent.
I very contrively used last week's, I think. But the shout out to Mom, Will Smith come to the podcast, and I think this is the end of the betting trilogy, ?
Wait for the prequels.
We may go
Honestly.
again, but we may move away from the topic.
I'm pretty sure we talked about the Vegas trip at some point.
I feel like it came up.
But the thing was, too, is like the podcast kind of like stopped after that. So who knows?
Imagine doing it.
Maybe you know about Vegas. Maybe you don't.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep you in stasis just like that.
New 9-month hiatus incoming. Confirmed.
Confirmed.
Oh, yikes.
9-month hiatus. Go Burr.
Of course.
I say we martingale it. Double up. 18 months this time.
See, because if you take 9 months off, you have a 50% chance of having 9 months on. And then if you don't, you take 18 months off, and you'll have a 50% chance of, getting 18 months on. And if that fails, so eventually we'll have a really long streak of podcasting, but it all depends on how long of a break we take.
We're going to make money in the end. That's all that matters.
Step 1, take break. Step 2, ed break. Step 3, step 4, profit.
Yep. What's the house edge on a podcast?
7.
Ooh.
700%.
That's pretty high. Yeah. Dang. You should not listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. Final thoughts, Fiend.
Lindsay. I cannot talk. Any final thoughts?
No, this is really my weakest point of the podcast, I believe, is when it comes to, or the lead ups for hypotheticals and the final thoughts moment is my worst.
What's on your mind? It doesn't have to be about the podcast.
Okay, sure. So today I finished work and I I sat down to do my homework and I just like zoned out and I could not like process because yesterday I like wrote a paper and did another huge homework assignment and I took enough breaks yesterday that was fine, but today like my brain had zero processing power. So today has been like running on fumes and I like crashed on the couch for like an hour and I woke up even worse than I was prior to the nap.
Wow. Yeah.
There's my
Sometimes.
thoughts.
Sometimes it's just like that. You just kind of get goofed and you don't know why.
Indeed.
And as for me, I also don't have anything related to the podcast because I'm playing with my hair tie right now that's like mostly broken, and the rubber band is the rubber band's broken, but the cloth isn't. So I'm just like playing with the ends of the rubber band on it.
Fun.
But
We really could have ended this podcast 6 minutes ago.
yeah, but we want to push your bedtime back as long as we can. And I feel like we've done a pretty decent job at that. So, have a bombastic week, everyone. And we'll see you next time.